What's good, Uganda? It's your boy O'Shea Duke Jackson back at it again on another episode here on the Uganda channel. Make sure that you guys like and subscribe, hit the bell if you find the content useful. And today I am doing a show with one of my good YouTube friends. I'll let her explain herself and what country she's in right now. Go ahead, let them know who you are.
Big shout outs to the Kinganda family. This is Gina Ifoe, the one and only African superstar. I am here at the African Superstar Studios located in Accra, Ghana. Big shout outs to all of our viewers. Much love to my brother, Mr. O'Shea Duke Jackson, always holding me down and always providing us quality content about options available on the continent. So, we were having a conversation. We talk pretty regularly. And this came up in one of our conversations. And so we decided to do a collab and bring the discussion to you. So thank you so much, Mr. O'Shea Duke Jackson, ODJ, father, brother.
All right, and editors, you know how we do. We're going to give her a round of applause. Give her a round of applause for coming on and spending some time with us. So let's just talk a little bit about, I know you're from the Midwest, but what made you, before we kind of get into people who have a decision on going to any African country of their choice. I know Ghana is very, very popular. What made you go to Ghana and what made you choose Ghana out of the other African countries that you've been to?
Yes. That's actually a great question. And it's something that I would say we both agree, we both suggest that you should investigate the nations maybe that you're interested in or possibly tour the continent to make sure that the location that you're choosing is suitable for you and your needs and things like that. When I ultimately decided to move to Ghana, I had my first trip to the continent back in 2016, where I visited South Africa and Ghana. The first time I visited Ghana, I loved Ghana. Part of the reason that I loved Ghana was because I previously resided in Columbus, Ohio, where there is a massive Ghanaian diaspora there in our city. So I was very exposed to the Ghanaian culture, the food, the music, and things like that through a lot of my peers when I lived in Ohio. And that really cultivated my interest because everything that the Ghanaians did was super lit. I'm a party girl. And, they would have massive parties. They would have concerts. They would have these huge weddings and things like that. And so I first got introduced to, their culture through those social events. I went to university. Big shout outs to my homeboy Kofi, one of my best friends. And, he used to take me along for a lot of events. So my thinking was like, man, if these events in the US are this lit, when I go to Ghana, when I go to the root of it all, it's going to be amplified, that was my thinking. So when I got to Ghana, fortunately, I kind of already had some network connections and things like that. However, I did exactly what I would promote our viewers to do, which is investigate the continent. I did tour Kenya, I toured Tanzania, I went to Egypt. I also visited Nigeria and South Africa before ultimately deciding on Ghana. And some of the reasons I chose Ghana was because for me, I think it's a perfect blend of, the West and Africa. There are a lot of conveniences here, things that I'm accustomed to. However, there's rich culture, friendly people. I love the beaches. I like the nightlife. I like the food. So it's kind of like a perfect culmination. Now, what I do see here on YouTube, and I think O'Shea would agree with me, we do see some people that have failed to do this. And when they move to different locations, they're like, oh, wow, they're experiencing things that go with rural lifestyles, or they're experiencing a huge cultural, experience. They're finding that the amenities that they need, for instance, like both O'Shea and I, we are content creators. We need the internet to make money, to do what we do. Here in Ghana, I'm able to have high-speed internet. I'm able to have and carry on my social media platforms without any difficulty. I also run theafricansuperstar.com, which I sell merchandise and things like that. So I have to have access. That's very important. Some people are moving out to, rural communities that struggle with electricity, struggle with infrastructure. And they're not able to maintain their life or their business as they know it. So these are things that you need to investigate, and not just maybe watch YouTube or social media and say, oh, wow, the spotlight's on Ghana, I'm going to go to Ghana. You might come to Ghana and find that you don't like it. I have a girlfriend of mine who prefers East Africa because of the climate. It's really hot in West Africa. It's humid. It's between 80 and 90 degrees every day. And some people, they don't agree with the heat, especially growing up in the West. Maybe you're accustomed to seasons. Maybe you're accustomed to a more moderate climate. Maybe the heat doesn't work for you. You're not going to know that until you come and check it out and experience. And I would never encourage anyone to just pick up and make such a drastic move to the continent without doing some of this legwork and research.
Before we kind of get into some more in-depth thoughts about this, one of the things that I like that you did that many of us don't do, even including me, you were already involved in the Ghanaian community where you were. Okay, you were already going to festivals, you knew about the food. What you find a lot of African Americans is that, okay, they're African American, they want to go to Africa, but there's not a bridge by somebody who can introduce them to any parts of the culture. And you really need that. Even with the Ugandan community, I have a lot of Ugandan friends now, but when I first went, I just really didn't. But now, because you can't do anything without them. When you're starting to see so many people, how much has that helped you transition into everyday Ghanaian life? The fact that you have Ghanaian community friends in the Ohio area, how much is the benefit of that for you now in comparisons to people who are coming from, the States, from Ghana because of YouTube or the internet?
It's an excellent point. I can't even quantify how valuable my network with the Ghanaian community has been. And, even the African communities have a global network, you know what I mean? And I was taking advantage of that long before I moved to Ghana. My first trip to London, my friend that I mentioned, Kofi, he was my best friend growing up at the University of Cincinnati. People thought we were dating, but we've always been platonic. But, when I first went to London, I solo traveled, and he was very concerned. He said, oh my goodness, you're going to go there. You don't know anybody. He prepared a list of, I'd say it might have been about 7 to 10 people that he knew, Ghanaians that lived there. The UK actually boasts the second largest Ghanaian community outside of Ghana. The second largest is Germany. So you have the UK, then you have Germany, and then you have probably places in the US and things like that. So he knew people from his class, some of his classmates. He knew people, family members. When I went to London, I was very well received. This is something I've suggested many times on my own channel, which is tap into that network research. Most recently on my travels from America back to Ghana, I actually ran into a Ghanaian gate agent who watches my channel who waived my bag fees. You know what I mean? It's priceless.
Wow.
I've connected with Ghanaians in South Africa, Germany, France,
Wow.
the UK, all across America. It is, and the thing is, I think that we as the diaspora have to understand, when you show yourself friendly, people will also be friendly to you. I think that's another part of the love that I receive from the Ghanaian community is I promote their community, I promote their country. I've shown myself friendly. I've shown myself interested, and they have matched that. It's kind of like a 401k. You put in 5%, your company gets 5%. It's the same kind of thing. I think moving to Ghana without that connection would have been very challenging. That's also another reason why I selected Ghana, was because I had the network. By the time I started obviously with my Ghanaian community in Ohio. But I started traveling here multiple times, making friends here on the ground. I moved to the UK. I kind of made additional Ghanaian friends there as well. And then I had the YouTube. When I first moved here, it was my Ghanaian friends that kind of negotiated it on my behalf. Everything from the furniture I had custom made here in Ghana, transportation, you know, hooking me up with people that know, you know, this person, that person. It's priceless, you know. And I know that you would agree, O'Shea, because, you know, we talked about this, and you have people working on your Kingana studios, even when you're away on travels, they're managing things for you in Uganda. You wouldn't be able to do that as a one-man show. You know, you wouldn't be able to do all the things in Uganda that you're doing on your own or individually, you know. And furthermore, there are cultural norms that we don't know. You know, a lot of us, we don't know the languages in many of these countries. We don't know the cultural norms. We don't know connotations. You know, something simple as like seeing a billboard, seeing an expression. There's so much that we can gain. And I would advise people, if you have, you know, an African community in your environment and you're interested about their country of origin, it's a great way. You know, it's been my experience that when you engage them, they will graciously receive you. You know, I've never had anyone from Ghana say, hey, this isn't your country. You don't belong here. I'm not going to teach you. I'm not going to, teach you the language. I mean, they're so eager to share that with you if you show some interest. So yes, very good point, O'Shea. Wonderful.
Let me talk to you about, you know, I was watching Dr. Harnett. He's a very popular African business coach. He's really has some good stuff. And she says a lot of times people, like I was watching one lady, she's from Liberia, and she wanted to move back to Liberia. And Liberia is a nice country with a lot of opportunities. But Dr. Harnett was mentioning something that was important. And she said people look at emotional attachments to a country, and you're not looking at is the country moving in the right direction. And I think that because we were talking about like certain times you feel, okay, I'm from the United States, I am an American, right? And I'm a European, but I do want to be in a country that I feel that's progressing, where there's no more. And Ghana has had this history of military coups. Hello, Jeremy Rawlings, you know what I mean? And Nigeria, and you know what's going on in Guinea. But you look at Ghana right now, Ghana has been politically stable, power transitions rather easily. Look at what Tanzania did when Magufuli died. It was excellent. He passed on. They just kept going as a country. Kenya, you've been there many times. Stable. South Africa, stable. When you looked at choosing Ghana, did you look at the political outlook and the political stability of the country and versus, let's say, like Gambia or places like that? Did you look at the fact that, okay, the government is stable, the politics are stable here?
Yeah, I mean, that was, I'm not going to say it was a huge, factor for me, but it was important to, make sure that I would be safe, that kind of thing, that there wouldn't be any kind of violence. I have a family from Cameroon, and currently they've been experiencing a conflict for several years. I actually was scheduled to travel to Cameroon probably, I'd say about 4 years ago, and I was kind of discouraged by some family members saying, hey, it's just not safe for you to come here right now. Those are the kind of things that are important. I did also look at, like you said, the progression of Ghana. Since I've been traveling here, I've seen personally the growth, of the city and certain businesses coming here. And as you can see, Ghana, I mean, it's at an international level. You have international artists coming here to perform. You have businesses coming here. Google chose to bring their office here over Nigeria. These kind of things are letting you know that, the growth is here, so that you can also segue with that growth when you're coming. I do think it probably also depends on you as an individual, what you're coming to do. And what what capital you may have, things like that. If you're a huge operation, then maybe you might look at somewhere that's not necessarily as developed to capitalize on your investment, because things are going, as a country grows and gets more popular, things go up. The prices here in Ghana have been going up lately. To live in the city, some people, it boasts the second largest economy in West Africa. So some people think they can come to Africa with $2 and buy a mansion. You can't do that here in Ghana. It's certainly not in Accra. there are African components that are doing very well here, so there's a lot of things that go into it, but absolutely, I wanted a country that I felt safe. I felt there's not a lot of history of xenophobia here as well, in regards to, you don't belong here.
Right.
We don't want you here. Because as a diasporan, you are coming, you might be on your own. And you have to also be mindful of your environment and not be isolated. I feel my friendships that I fortified, and I've also had the pleasure of my big sister joining me here in Ghana. So I feel like, okay, I'm not on my own. Plus, there is a massive diasporan community here, and I'm affiliated with a lot of those people, like Sanko for Repatriation and Ministry of the Future and things like that. So, that also provides some security because we kind of look out for each other. Oh, I haven't heard from, I recently traveled abroad. I was away for a few months, and I had people from Ghana reaching out. Hey, Gina, I haven't seen you in a while. Are you okay? I haven't seen you in town. Things, my normal routine. So that makes you feel secured as a community that, people are looking after you. People are looking out for your well-being. So yeah, the political thing, definitely, I did assess that in choosing Ghana as well.
So we, shout out to Liberia. Liberia in the December, they're having a year of return. You're starting to see Sierra Leone. They're doing something similar with, if you're from here, you get citizenship. But we all know it stems from Ghana's first push, the year of return. And it was a great thing in 2019. You saw all these people, like you said, big artists. Cardi B came to Ghana also.
Beyonce came. Steve Harvey came.
Yeah, everybody came.
It was a lot of people. Yep.
Everybody came except for me, but that's all right. I'm coming pretty soon. So everybody came.
When you know there's gonna be a bang, we're gonna chill, we're gonna kick it.
So everybody came through, and then what you started to see was this diaspora. You call it in the Black community, when white folks leave a place, white flight, right? When white flights leave, it's called white flight. But you saw Negro flight towards Ghana.
Yes.
Like when they said you return, we want all our people to come back home. People literally was like, oh yeah, you want us to come back? Okay, so we moving. You saw literally people just vlogging their life, moving to Ghana. Unfortunately, you did see some people documenting a bad experience and moving back. Now I know that you did pick Ghana, and you had a better experience. But do you think that people move to Ghana, some of them for the wrong reasons, instead of? Okay, what do you mean by that?
Certainly, I think there's a bit of euphoria that is associated with the continent as a whole when you're coming from the West, and that has a lot to do with our ignorance of the continent. Growing up in America, or even probably the UK, anywhere, in the West, basically, you're getting very little exposure to what the continent is. So naturally, you would see people on social media, probably myself included, I believe in portraying the positive sides of the continent. There are definitely negative sides, but I think we've seen a lot of the negative sides. So I am committed to showing the luxury, the enjoyment, the great side of Ghana. So you will have people that, coupled with, their ignorance and their lack of exposure to the continent, seeing all this information going on, hearing from their friends, seeing people like Wodamaya, seeing Dynas, these people, and they're just like, okay, I just want to go, because it's the hype thing to do. We have people that follow trends, it's the in thing to do. Your buddies are going, I want to go on the trip, see what it's all about. And I think they had an unrealistic expectation of what life is like here, and maybe even some of the challenges. Some people from the West, they can't deal with maybe fluctuating power. That's something they've never really been exposed to in America.
Right.
Some people can't handle the cultural differences. They've never had Ghanaian dishes before they've come here. They don't know any of the music. They feel uncomfortable when they hear people speaking the language. They've never been around that. Some people also feel uncomfortable because of maybe how they're perceived. Being from the West, will be synonymous with the fact that you're rich, and people might be trying to charge you extra money. There are people that'll be frustrated by that barter system, or
I heard people stare a lot too.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible. I mean, because some people really stand out, maybe their complexion or maybe their size. Us as Americans, a lot of us are really big people, in terms of our weight and things like that, which is abnormal here in Ghana. You will see very few obese people. So like I even saw a group of Black Americans, and they were identifiable by the way they dress and their size. So these kind of things, it can be uncomfortable. And that's part of the reason why we regularly promote, go investigate where you go. When I visited Zanzibar in Tanzania, for instance, I was unaware that it was a Muslim country. So you have the mainland of Tanzania, which is Dar es Salaam. That's where the capital is, and all the skyscrapers and stuff like that. And then you have the island portion, which is called Zanzibar. So I went to Zanzibar, much like some of you guys that watch us. I saw videos from Dynas Demir. Zanzibar was one of his very first trips to the continent. It looked tropical. I just had like this fantasy of what it was going to be like and things like that. So I traveled to Zanzibar without doing much research at all. I landed in Zanzibar wearing a dashiki and short shorts. I got off the plane and all the women were dressed in hijabs. Okay. And they were all speaking Swahili. And here I was, I really, really stood out. And I reckon, people from the diaspora are having those kind of experiences. At that time, I determined this probably wouldn't be a place where I would fit in, or where I share a lot of the interests. I don't practice that religion. So there's going to be a huge cultural difference between me and these people. They didn't make me feel out of place, and they weren't mean to me or anything like that. But just like the social environment is important. I blend more in West Africa. I don't stand out here. When I go around, people don't immediately see me and make that assumption. Now, when I went to Egypt, on the other hand, I totally stand out in Egypt. So these are reasons why you should go and check out the continent. And I would say, it's very drastic to, for instance, sell all your goods and move to a country that you don't know. I would really, really discourage against that. As someone who has currently migrated twice, within the last 4 years, I moved to the UK from America, and then from the UK to Ghana. And both of those migrations, I regularly traveled. I traveled from the US to London probably about 4 or 5 times before I made the move. And, I was coming to Ghana regularly about every 6 months up until I moved here. So, these are reasons why we would say that. So I would say maybe those people, because, there were several of them that were on YouTube, for instance, they moved to Ghana. They didn't know people here in Ghana. They didn't know anything about the food. They didn't really know anything about some of the challenges. And then they decided, what, this isn't for me. They could have saved themselves the difficulty and the expense of making that move had they traveled here before. They could have determined on their first visit, what, I'm not feeling this. Because after probably, I'd say 1 or 2 weeks, you're going to start encountering some things that are going on in the environment, some of the potential challenges in that environment. So you can make the determinant. Imagine if I would have packed my bags and moved to Zanzibar without ever going there, because I saw videos on Dynas channel. It sounds a bit absurd, but that's what people are doing. And I would have got there and I would have not been happy. So I agree with you, O'Shea. Those are some of the reasons I believe. And I mean, a lot of these people have even prepared videos why they're leaving. We had the Chimpong family recently returned to the Netherlands from Ghana. And, they made a whole video talking about what was some of their issues. A lot of it had to do with their children, school opportunities for their children. They weren't able to find a comparable school, and, they were having trouble finding housing that worked in their budget that they liked. And, these kind of things. Again, things that you can investigate on visits, So I would encourage you guys to do that. And maybe even if you're in a position take a long-term visit.
Mhm.
Come stay for a couple months. If you work remotely, maybe you can
Mhm.
come and, stay for a couple months and see if it works or not. You
Mhm.
don't have to make your move in one big fatal swoop. I mean, O'Shea,
Right.
how many times have you been to Uganda while
Like
setting up
10 or
your
11
business?
now.
Exactly. You know? So I think some people have the connotation like, I'm just gonna go to Africa and that's it. That's I'm just never going back to the West. Some people that may be a reality. For a lot of us with family ties, we're going to be traveling back and forth. We got business,
Mhm.
we got
Mhm.
family. We're going to be going back and forth, and that's fine.
Mhm.
But do your research, do your due diligence. Moving continents is huge. It's a
Right.
massive ordeal. So don't take it lightly.
Right. Let me talk about, I know that you've been there, and obviously one of the things that I think that would be more different is like how people do business, and certain skill sets that, when I worked in America, I worked as a person that I had a job. I worked for some pretty good companies, really good companies, and my tasks were set out for me, and then it was good for the rest of the day. However, when you get to Africa, and now you have to build, everything that you want to have for yourself. It's there, you can get it, but you're going to have to build your
Yes.
reality.
Yes.
Now it's open for you, but you have to build it. So you going back, and before I remember when you made your move last September, but going back, what would you tell yourself? What would you do differently now that you know? What would you do differently? How better would you come prepared than you did the first time?
Um, you know, my original plan prior to COVID was to spend 6 months here in Ghana and 6 months in the UK. When the lockdown started happening, I kind of pressured myself, like, okay, you know what? Let's just go. You know what I'm saying? Let's just roll the dice and make it happen. I think you really have to, the main thing that you got to have in place is your streams of income, you
Okay.
know, and I would encourage you to try to get some kind of local stream of income. I was actually in the process of building that stream of income when my channel came down. You see, so I had a channel, 11,000 subscribers that was taken down by YouTube in April. The fact of the matter is, a lot of us do work remotely. People are doing things online, and that's how they make money. But, in this cyber world, it's also important to have physical businesses in the country that you're residing in. And 9 times out of 10, the country that you're residing in has physical needs anyway. They need you to provide jobs. They need development. They need property to be built. These are things that you can tap into, that will benefit both you and your community. So because I was affected by my channel going down, I had to, go and raise some money briefly in the UK and come back and roll the dice again. Now, if I was doing my 6 months here, 6 months back and forth, I think I would have been straight. But when you're going for like that extended time, you got to make sure that you can cover your expenses. And, you can do that by setting up a business, trying to have some savings, and ultimately having some tangible services here on the continent. Had I got
Mm-hmm.
my business going here and they took my YouTube channel, I would have still had another sizable income that I
Income.
could
Mm-hmm.
depend on. So I think that would probably be what I would put more effort into. But it was so rushed. I think ultimately I'm very satisfied with the migration process that I've done. I mean, I think I've done really, really good. But
Mm-hmm.
that would be the thing that I would add is like when you get to the ground,
Mm-hmm.
start working on your physical business, or when you're
Mm-hmm.
making your travels here, you've decided you want to be here, start trying to kind of,
Mm-hmm.
conceptualize what you want to do. And when you
Right.
get here, start it right now.
Right.
Start to get the ball rolling right now with that physical business.
What you would say is, if you could do it over again, when you were visiting, you would be looking more or less into, okay, here's some physical business or something that I can do here, whether
Right.
it's in the agribusiness industry, fashion industry, something. I'm trying to build a brand while I'm piece by piece moving, and so when I can come, that's kind of already started for me. Now that I've made the decision
Yeah.
that I want to move to Ghana, I would kind of do that first, work with people in that particular sector, get some advice, some organization, build some talent there. I'm kind of adding on to it there too, also. And then I'm going to use that talent around me as I'm coming back. So when I come back, I have as much infrastructure locally and also
Yes.
my,
Yes.
my home based income to kind of come together
Correct.
to kind of protect myself just in case something happens. Is that what you're saying?
And I would say, and this also ties back to our original point about integrating with locals, because
Mm-hmm.
you need that street sense to be able to enter into the
Mm-hmm.
business market in your new country. It's not going to be how it is in the West. And I think we kind of have to get away from this connotation of it's bad because it's not like what we're accustomed to. It's inferior because of it's not what we're accustomed to. People keep their own time here on the continent. You're going to frustrate yourself trying to use European standards or American standards in your African nation because they don't adhere to that stuff. They got their own code, So I think being open-minded is important to your transition as well. Be open to learn your new environment. I mean, I think that's why, quite frankly, I haven't had a lot of these hiccups that some of these other people moving here have had because I have an open mind. I've taken my time to begin to invest in the people, and they have been the most priceless asset for me here in Ghana. I get, for instance, I just returned to Ghana recently, and I called a friend and I said, hey, I need to exchange some money. He's like, oh, I know somebody who does that currency exchange. You can't do that if you're not connected. You're going to have to do everything on your own. You're going to have to wade through things on your own, and people might take advantage of you if they see you and they know you are unfamiliar. I mean,
Right.
people
It's
are
like anywhere in the world.
Anywhere in the world. They're like, oh, O'Shea got $10,000 and he doesn't know the exchange rate. I'm about to get this dude. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Right. So basically, also building, trying to build relationships, being a nice person, adding some value for what you do to gain leverage, things like that, right?
Yeah. And I mean, you don't also want to take advantage of the people here. We are coming back to kind of segue back into the community. I mean, I would hope that you do. You're going to have a much more challenging journey if you just want to come and live in Africa, but you don't want to deal with the Africans, so we're coming here to try to blend our worlds, and we should come with the concept of being a solution to our community. You may come here to Ghana or Uganda or Senegal, and you might recognize a need in the community, that someone else has not addressed yet. That can be beneficial for you and the local people.
Right.
So we both can eat. There's a lot of opportunity out here. There's a lot of money to be made. There's a lot of need. There's a lot of development that needs to happen. We can do this thing and it be mutually beneficial. Why should you be the one getting all the money and then, you're not benefiting the people? And I'll tell you something else is they function in a community fashion here on the continent. So if you start mistreating one, they start going around and talking and say, hey, that Black American or that Black British did this and that and the other. I mean, we saw what happened, for instance, with like our Carthy in the Gambia. She offended some people, and then the community began to kind of, respond to that. It's not an individual place the way we're accustomed in the West. It's a community, so you need to be good to people. And that also will back up your character. When I come around, people are like, oh, you know what? This is the African superstar. She got a YouTube channel. I don't even have to introduce myself a lot of times. People are like, yeah, I saw her. She did this. She was on Wodamaya's channel. She does videos with O'Shea and da-da. Your reputation precedes you. So I think I get a lot of really special treatment because I'm good to the people. It comes, it reciprocates itself. So those are some of, I would say my tools for success here on the continent.
All right. And you did an excellent job. For people that don't know the African Superstar channel, we'll post it up here, there. Tell people why they should subscribe to the African Superstar channel here on YouTube.
Oh, thank you so much, O'Shea. Yes. I think that a lot of what we need before making our transition is an analysis of our psychological state. Because if you just pick up and get on a plane and you come to the continent without doing some of that psychological work, then you'll find yourself living in a new environment and kind of, regurgitating your old lifestyle and your old mentality. What I talk about a lot on my channel is, thought provoking topics to make you think about things in a broader perspective. And I do also share a bit of my journey here in Ghana and different things I've experienced. So I am an intellectual voice that represents our people in our community, and representation matters. So I would love for you guys to come over and join me on my channel and contribute to a lot of our discussions and things like that. I will be most happy if you come over.
All right, and I've been trying to really preach to her about pushing the Ghana content. I know that this channel is more or less based off what we do in the East Africa region, Uganda and Kenya, but we do stuff on everything in the continent. And whenever we do something on Ghana, shout out to Brother Bomani Tayemba, and even me and African Superstar, we get a lot of views. Same with Tanzania and the Gambia, but Ghana is our #1 country. Even on the King Ghana channel, when we talk about it, people are interested. So hopefully when she's on the ground, you will see more stuff about Ghana. She can answer your questions about Ghana because she's living out there, living that rich life. Okay, so I'm trying to be like her.
I'm fake rich. I'm fake rich. Like O'Shea, I'm fake rich.
Me too. So go to the first comment pinned to the top and check her out there. Make sure you subscribe, comment, subscribe below. And as you know, guys, keep it real, King Ghana forever. We out.